Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Des Moines. We are a community of children, youth, and adults bound not by creed, but by covenant. My name is Kara Andreski. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am a member of the celebrant team. Our church is located on lands that are the traditional territory of the indigenous Iowa peoples, who call themselves Bakoje. Other than those of us descended from those indigenous peoples, we all arrived here from someplace else. As we enter this space, let us recommit to understanding the history of the land it occupies and to owning our part in the work of education, reparation, and healing. If you are here with children, feel free to keep them seated with you or to take advantage of our We Worship space in the back of the auditorium, where you and your child may play quietly with toys and books. Programs for children from kindergarten through high school take place at 10:45 a.m. Please silence your cell phones during the service. If you are joining us via Zoom, please make sure your mics are muted throughout the service. Today is a special celebration. At long last, we are dedicating our newly renovated kitchen. Yay! After the service, you are all invited to join us in the gathering space and in Griffith Hall to share a toast and enjoy a wonderful brunch together. So please plan to stay whether you're a longtime member or visiting today for the very first time.
At times our light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has a cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us.
The hymn is in the Teal hymnal, number 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the theories of our living brings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still a witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind meet to call us on our way. When we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
The mission of First Unitarian Church is to grow ethically and spiritually, serve justly, and love radically. Your gifts of time and presence and money make all of this possible. The offering is a budget line item. It is also a symbol of gratitude for this community and a symbol of the generosity that defines it. Every week, half of the collection given in the service goes directly to the wider community to support Faith in Action partners. Let's Talk, which collaborates with the Des Moines Public Schools to help young people resolve conflict, and Hawthorne Hill, which works with unhoused families towards permanent affordable housing. You may give through the plate as it passes or give online. Thank you.
Invite you to join in a spirit of meditation. For the beauty of the morning, fog-blanketed, sun-drenched. For the beauty of this community, its generosity, its history, its bright future, gratitude. For the gift of life and the gift of breath, gratitude. For a few moments at home in your body, at home in this house of history and hope, breathing in, breathing out. Let's hold silence together. I invite you to speak the names of those you're holding in your heart this morning. We hold all of these in love, and in addition, we hold these members of our community. Linda Kreipel writes, I want to thank all the wonderful folks who have sent cards of support and brought delicious meals to my house while I was recovering from my surgeries and taking care of my daughter. First Unitarian has been very generous and caring, and I'm so grateful. Hospice home care checks on my daughter twice a week, and we've settled into a routine. Again, thank you so very much. And Adrian Bootner Cable, one of our seniors at Roosevelt, won the girls' elite mile at the Drake Relays this past Friday. Yay. She was also the girls' 800 champion at Drake. Congratulations to Adrian. And we hold in love and care Eileen Jackson. Eileen's mother, Wilma, died recently. These words for meditation come from Joy Harjo, table blessing. The world begins at the kitchen table. The gifts of earth are brought and prepared and set on the table. So it has been since creation, and it will go on. We chase chickens or dogs away from it, babies teethe at the corners, they scrape their knees under it. It is here that children are given instructions on what it means to be human. At this table, we gossip, recall enemies and the ghosts of lovers. Our dreams drink coffee with us as they put their arms around our children. They laugh with us at our poor falling down selves and as we put ourselves back together once again around the table. This table has been a house in the rain, an umbrella in the sun. Wars have begun and ended at this table. It is a place to hide in the shadow of terror, a place to celebrate the terrible victory. We have given birth on this table and have prepared our parents for burial here. At this table, we sing with joy and sorrow. We pray of suffering and remorse. We give thanks. Perhaps the world will end at the kitchen table while we are laughing and crying, eating of the last sweet bite. We light 3 candles today. One for the joys and sorrows shared aloud, one for those shared in writing, and one for those held silently among us.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul.
As the choir takes their place, I'd like to introduce our song, Big House by Kyle Peterson. Our special musicians today are Kent Newman on drums, Kirk Martin on bass, Julie Murphy on clarinet, and of course, Bruce on piano. The text explores the metaphor of a big house. It reads, I want a big house with a big front door, wide enough to always fit one more, where everybody's welcome. It's late when they leave, and if they walk in broke, well, they walk out healed. Tell me about the kitchen in that house. There's a big old table from wall to wall, a seat for everybody. There's room for all. The poor and the shunned and the rich ones with means, believers and skeptics and those in between. There's laughter and crying and sharing of life, serving hope to the hopeless and offering light, with a helping of love and a taste of truth when they come to the table with me and you. Tell me about the outside of that house. There's a big old yard with no fence and no wall, where all the kids are welcome, come one, come all. No matter their color, their class, or creed, they run, they play, they're heard, they're seen. There is peace, there is joy, there is love in that house. Let's build a big house.
I want a big house, I want a big house. I want a big house, I want a big house. I want a big house, I want a big house. I want a big house, I want a big house. I want a big house. I want a big house with a big front door, wide enough to always fit one more. Where everybody's welcome, it's late when they leave, and if they walk in broke, well they walk out here. Ooh, tell me about the kitchen in that house. I said, ooh, tell me about the kitchen in that house. There's a big old table from wall to wall, with a seat for everybody, there's room for all. The poor and the shunned and the rich ones with wings, believers and skeptics and those in between. There's laughter and crying and sharing of life, sending hope to the hopeless and offering light, a helping of love and a taste of truth when they come to the table with me and you. I want a big house with a big front door, wide enough to always fit one more. Where everybody's welcome, it's late when they leave, and if they walk in broke, well they walk out here. Ooh, tell me about the outside of that house. I said, ooh, tell me about the outside of that house. There's a big old yard with no fence and no wall, where all the kids are welcome, come one, come all. No matter their color, class, or creed, they run, they play, they're heard, they're seen. I want a big house with a big front door, wide enough to always fit one more. Where everybody's welcome, it's late when they leave, and if they walk in broke, well they walk out here. I want a big house. 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 There is peace, there is love, there is joy in that house. There is peace, there is love, there is joy in that house. There is peace, there is love, there is joy in that house. There is peace, there is love, there is joy in that house. There is love, there is joy in that house. Let's build a big house. Let's build a big house. I want a big house.
Good, wonderful morning. I'm Mary Ellen Miller. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and as you can see by my wonderful hat, I'm here today ready to celebrate with all of you the dedication of our renovated kitchen. You can ask me later about the hat, but those of you who know I served as food service director at Camp Unistar for over 20 years will know that occasionally fan campers would make me hats. So a special hat to wear for a special day. But before we get to the dedication part of this special day, I invite you to take a moment to reflect with me how this day came to be. The idea for a renovated kitchen had been floating around for a long time. It was in fact considered when we did the office edition in 2004 and 5. Some of you might remember that. But we ran out of money and were uncertain about whether the kitchen would stay in the same place or be incorporated into some new future expansion project. But after 17 years of sitting on the back burner, it was brought back to life about 2 years ago. Like many big ideas, it was the vision of a small group of people that provided the spark to make it happen. During the early days of COVID, remember those days? The endowment committee was discussing a way to use its funds for improvements to the church. I'll let Marilyn Lance, the current chair of the committee, tell you about that in a minute. The short version is that Deidre Fudge, the then chair of endowment, mentioned the kitchen as a possible project that could be done while the church was closed for COVID. The spark took off when Ann Mowry heard the idea. First, there was talk of changing out just the appliances. Remember that old 10-burner gas stove? The defunct dish machine, which we couldn't get parts for anymore? And not to mention the dilapidated refrigerators. But as it began to take shape, it became evident that it would be a much larger project than initially imagined, and that it would involve a large cadre of volunteers. You can watch for them today because they will be wearing a special tag on their name tag. As the plan took shape, it also became apparent that it would be the largest project the kitchen had taken on since the building addition was completed 25 years earlier. One of my favorite quotes is, "The best way to put an idea across is to wrap it up in a good person." Those who know Ann Mowry know that she is thoughtful and sensible with an acute eye for detail. Trust me, I've worked with her for the last 2 years. Like any of us would, Ann was quick to ask, how could we pay for such a project? Remember Dillinger's answer when asked why he robbed banks? Why? Because that's where the money is, of course. So Ann encouraged the endowment committee to provide $40,000 to hire an architect to come up with some conceptual drawings and maybe some cost estimates for what would be needed to upgrade the kitchen. Seed money. Many of you here today will remember a Sunday in October of 2021. To me, that seems like a long time ago, when we were presented with 3 concept drawings. I called them good, better, best. The reality was cheapest, a little more money, a lot more money. The drawings were hung on this south wall. We all received some Post-it notes and were invited to stick our comments right up on the drawings along with colored dots to indicate the ones we like best. How many of you were there that day in October? Whoa, lots of people. It was a pretty exciting day. Well, then came the challenge to see if we could raise the estimated funds needed to move the project from just a concept to a reality. There certainly was some anxiety about if this congregation was up to that challenge, especially when the first estimate came in at about $350,000. Because of supply chain and labor issues, remember those during COVID? Well, we moved the figure to 400,000. Big gulp. I remember when we were discussing all the various items that would be included in the cost projection, beyond the equipment, beyond the new countertops, down to all the details that included cleaning equipment and supplies. And someone said, for $400,000, the kitchen ought to be able to clean itself. I think everyone on the fundraising committee was more than surprised at the positive response when our ask was received. Some donors said, if it turns out you need more, come back and let me know. It was truly heartwarming. And as someone who has spent most of her life being a fundraiser, I have to say it was probably one of the easiest asks I've ever worked on. So, a big part of our celebration today is honoring all of those donors that made one person's idea back in 2021 become a reality. It did seem like 100 years, but wasn't. Along with those donors, this project would not have been possible without the members of this congregation that stepped up into the detailed work of deciding design, equipment, plans, colors, textures, and all was so expertly guided and managed by our project chair. It's been my privilege and honor these past 2 years to work alongside our incomparable kitchen project chair, Ann Mowry. She will speak in a bit to honor our donors and our workers. But first, we'd like to hear from Marilyn Lance, the current chair of the Endowment Committee.
Hello. I'm Marilyn Lance. I'm chairing the Endowment Committee, and I'm really jealous that I don't have a hat. The old kitchen served us for 66 years. We started this project talking about, will you still love me when I'm 64? Well, that was 2 years ago. This kitchen renovation is a gift now, not only to us, but to the people who are going to be part of our church community way, way, way into the future. And so I want to add my thanks to all the donors who've paid it forward so that our church can continue to thrive. The project would not have been possible, however, as Mary Ellen said, without the contributions of people in the past who paid it forward by donating to the Endowment Committee. As she said, you'll recall that at the annual meeting in 2021, this congregation voted to spend $60,000 of endowment money for the new lift and $40,000 to explore what would it take to renovate the kitchen. We then voted at a special meeting in January, the following January, to spend an additional $90,000, if needed, to make that a reality. Now, due to the generosity of all the folks here, I don't think we're going to need that whole $90,000, but we would not have proceeded at all if it had not been available. It gave us that peace of mind. So this is my plea to remember the endowment fund. As Mary Ellen said, there are a lot of people to thank for the project, but the original idea came from Deidre Fudge, who from many, many discussions in the past, and saw it as an opportunity to use endowment money to kickstart a big project, and a big project that would help unite the church after we all been in lockdown after the pandemic. So I want to give a shout out to Deidre, in addition to all the wonderful people for making this happen. Thank you all.
Good morning. So wonderful to see all of you here. Before I get started, on thanking people, I want to tell you the status of the kitchen. Everything is operational. We have passed the city inspections. And we'll have spandrel glass, which will finish off the project in a couple months. So that's the short of it. So much time and talent was needed to make this project successful. I'd like to mention a few who really stood out and went over the top. Who knew that Karen Kramer, our choir director, would be a demon for details? Seeking out the perfect look for the kitchen and chasing down every 16th of an inch to assure that we met the ADA codes. Her tenacity was beyond my wildest dreams. Thank you, Karen. Mary Ellen Miller wore many hats, literally and figuratively, in the process of helping us get to this day. She brought her enthusiasm, her expert fundraising skills, and her steadfast attention to weekly articles and pictures in the intercom. And if they didn't show up in her mailbox, she was right on my case. She has served as a loyal and valuable advisor from beginning to end. Al Powers, who, if you don't know, is my husband. Al gave me the assurance that I could lead such a project. I did this knowing that he was my go-to when I needed help, and that he would be on top of every piece of the construction. He has been my ever-ready support, plus he has masterminded solutions to more problems than you will ever know. He's already trying to improve upon the functioning of the new dish machine. We learned from other churches that seem to operate efficiently and clean and have clean kitchens, that they rely on a committee to oversee their kitchen on an ongoing basis. I'd like to introduce Kay Scott if she's in here. Kay, are you in here? Stand up, please. Kay is the brave person who has agreed to lead us in caring for the kitchen with the kitchen care team. It's taken the church village to accomplish our goal. Countless hours of work over months and months. Please look at the back of your order of service and find a few people whom you can thank personally. I will list them in alphabetical order. Please stand as I call your name. These are people who are members of the committees. Linda Applegate, Janelle Bailey, Bob Brunia, Elaine Imlau. Half these people are out there working already. Donnie Fiddler, Eric Hayes, Pat Headley, Ron Heidemann, Karen and Steve Herwig, Shelley Kaldenberg, Jan Knock, Karen Kramer, Heidi Lockman, Heidi Levine, Marilyn Lance, Cheryl Long, Terry Lohman, Terry Meek, Mary Ellen Miller, Patty Notch, Al Powers, Kay Scott, Dana Sorensen, Fern Stewart, Catherine Sutton, Jan Speck, Janet and Tom Thurtell, and Tim Wilson. And I'd like to add a few others who are not on committees, but who gave generously of their time and talent. Anyone who came to a meeting and gave us input on what the kitchen should be like, please stand up. Anyone who painted wire molding on the ceiling? Becky, where are you? There she is. And anyone who lent their truck or their muscles to tear down the old kitchen or erect or get rid of old things, sell tables, whatever, please stand. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We would not be here today but for the generosity of so many from this community. Every one of you contributed to a vision that we are better together and we want a future for our church. This project demonstrates our strength together. Each donor is recognized in the order of service, and I forgot a couple or overlooked a couple, and I'm sorry. Each donor paid their pledge in full by July of last year. That's 100% collection. What a commitment. Thank you to all who have contributed financially. Your contributions exceeded our goal of $400,000. With the help of the endowment funds, we will end the project in the black. We had a special donation from an anonymous donor for today's brunch. And finally, I got into this project because I thought we all really needed a boost, something to bring us together, something that would show we could do something valuable and hopeful for us. I had never managed such a project, but I was excited and convinced that we would come through for us. And so we started and just kept going. I see this kitchen as beautiful, but it's not a shrine to keep perfect. This kitchen is just a tool to get what we want for our community. May this be the kitchen of our church home, a place of gathering and making memories, of making good food to share with this community and with the outer world. For children to learn in, to weave into traditions of weddings and memorials, to welcome groups who need a place to meet, and to practice our green values. Think of ways to incorporate this space into the work and fun that lie ahead for our community. It's ready for your imagination. Thank you.
No matter who imagined it and paid for it, and we're so grateful you did, so grateful you could dream it and stretch toward the possibility of something new and wonderful and persevere through quarantine setbacks and supply chain delays and inspections and a capital campaign. We're so grateful you did, all of you, so that now we can say, no matter who did all that, this kitchen is for everybody. It has to be, and it is. It can't be dedicated this morning, not rightly or completely blessed, because you will bless it by the use you put it to. And that will happen, as these speakers said, over years and years and lifetimes of years going forward. Can you see it? in your mind. You close your eyes and picture once more what you've imagined since the project began. So many shared meals, laughing Wednesday nights returning, with children running underfoot, every table filled, people bearing casseroles and pans and trays of favorite recipes they brought from home to share. And they land here, you land here, like an oasis in the busy whirlwind of the week, or the week of loneliness, when most nights you eat alone. Picture Wednesday nights exactly like they used to be and completely different from what they used to be, not because the kitchen is different, but because you all have changed. And some beloveds won't be here. They didn't live to see it. And so many others, tentative, hopeful, hungry, so many others will come in. Picture Wednesday nights ahead and leave room for everybody else's picture. Picture frozen pizza at a weekend overnight, heated up by and for your youth group, spilling stuff all over the place. They will own this kitchen, and you are going to let them. And memorial receptions that are so lovely and lovingly handcrafted by generous volunteers to ease the grief of people who are gathered here to mourn, maybe a person everybody knew and loved, and maybe somebody you never got to know. The volunteers come either way, and there is nothing like this little plate of food, cookies and fruit and cheese and a cup of coffee, and a stranger giving you a tissue to make you think, even in the swirl of blinding grief, maybe this life is worth living after all. Maybe these gestures of love, these cookies, the tissues, the tables with the flowers, maybe all of this is some kind of holy grace. Think of the meals you will make for those who have no kitchen of their own, no beds, no house, no home, nothing of their own. The people who sleep here sometimes because there's no place else to go, the ones you serve through Family Promise, or maybe asylees or refugees, people who for whatever reason need the sanctuary that this house and you provide. Don't just cook for them. Don't just cook at them. The sacrament of supper is not charity. It's not a feel-good project for the wealthy and the lucky. Don't just cook for them. Invite them up. Let them cook for you, with you, side by side. There is nothing better. Let your guests teach you things you never knew that food could do. Be the perfect host, laughing in the kitchen with your guests as they teach you what it means to be a family, what that promise can be. Picture Sunday morning. Picture Terry Meek not hauling water from the office every single time, right? But doing what she is so clearly called to do and loves to do, which is loving you all up and herding all the cats on all these teams, presiding as she does over the Eucharist of hospitality. Picture coffee cups and cups of tea and old friends and visitors. Tell the new ones where the spoons are and the key for the drawer that everything's locked in and the sugar. And teach them where the garbage goes and how to use the dishwasher so they can own it too and help Al fix it when it breaks and be at home in here, which is to say, be at home is to say be useful, which is to say be needed and belong. You in this room this morning are the ones who built it, bought it, set it up, but never let the kitchen be any kind of wall between us and them, then and now. We who remember the old one and all of you who don't, we who paid for this one, all of you who didn't. The kitchen's for everybody. And ideally, it will outlive all of you, except the children and the youth. And the old one, as you heard, lasted a lifetime. It is your hearth. It's the heart of the house. And what matters, you know it, is never the meal, but the conversation over the meal. Or drying the plates and glasses late at night, sweeping the floor, holding the dustpan for somebody who can't bend down there, lingering, talking, being together. The kitchen is the room where it happens. It's the space where church really happens. And so, when the first gleaming stainless steel appliance gets dented by some careless person wheeling a cart around in there, When the first beautiful glass tile that's not even installed yet gets chipped, or the floor is scratched, or a countertop is stained by grape juice or red wine, or the upholstery on one of those beautiful new chairs or stools is ripped ever so slightly but irrevocably by a well-meaning wayward knife, and now there's duct tape on it, and cups get broken and plates go missing and forks get all contorted in the disposal, when something breaks for the first time, rejoice and give thanks, because that will be a holy sacrament, the true and only consecration of your kitchen, which is not a precious thing, as Ann just said, but a hardworking, useful, welcome place where the people are at home. Don't cherish it. Use it. Use it well. Bless it by the use you put it to. My father's mother, my grandmother, said a table grace at every meal. It was excruciating. It was excruciating for hungry kids who rolled our eyes whenever she came to visit us, like, oh no, and we'd stuff our pockets with crackers so we could get through it, and kick our feet and cough and everything else while she prayed on and on. Everything got cold. And she ended every time at last with words she had learned in childhood, I learned later. All her life the same blessing, even through the Great Depression, when she raised 3 children on her own with little to eat. And my father told me late in his life, she stretched her baking flour with dirt from the backyard to make it last a little longer, just another day. Bless this food to our use, she said every night. Bless this food to our use and our lives to good service. May it be so. Bon appetit. Amen.
Soul of truth, eternal goodness, sojourn with us as we part. Fill our minds with high endeavor. Keep us just and pure in heart. Strengthen us for daily duty. Guide us by the inward light. Hallowed be each coming morning. Calm and peaceful be each night. Amen.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace.